Now is the time to try the Verve combo pack for free, where you can get access to several different channels within Verve, including now Nick Splat, and new episodes get uploaded every month or so of all your favorite classic shows like Rocket Power, Rocko's Modern Life, The Angry Beavers, Doug, Our Real Monsters, and those are just the Nicktoons. You've also got the live action shows like Legend of the Hidden Temple, All That, and Kenan and Kel, all available on Verve, plus several other channels. There's anime on here, there's movies on here, horror movies, and now High Dive is coming to Verve. So tons of stuff. Try it out for free. The link is down below. With the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc beginning in the Dragon Ball Super manga, the new story is going to revolve around the Galactic Patrol needing to get the help of the Dai Kaioshin, the Grand Supreme Kai, to help them capture this criminal. And since the manga came out, there have been people going around talking about Kid Buu returning to Dragon Ball Super, or returning to Dragon Ball overall, with the story being that if they were to extract the Fat Supreme Kai, the Grand Supreme Kai, Dai Kaioshin, that Buu would go back to being, Fat Buu would become Kid Buu. And that's wrong for a variety of reasons. However, there may be a reason as to why they would bring Kid Buu back, and we're going to get into that here in a minute on this topic. Joining me on this topic, please welcome a guy who has had Kid Buu as his online avatar for many years. We haven't heard from him on Geekdom 101 for a while, but I'm happy to have him back discussing Kid Buu and his possible return. Please welcome Dimzy. Hello, Dimzy.
Hello, Geekdom. How are you? I'm alright. Are you okay?
I'm good, bro. It's been a while. It's been a while, bro. Yeah. Well, you were joining me on the arc recaps. That was several months ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, no, I am personally a big fan of Kid Buu, and I know you are as well. And as much as I would like to see Kid Buu come back in some capacity, it's very, very unlikely, if not impossible. And I want to get into it. However, you have an idea of how he could come back. We're going to get to that here in a minute. But first thing I want to talk about here is, ever since this arc started, okay, people are saying, which is only, a week ago, people are saying, oh, Kid Buu's going to come back because they're going to extract Dai Kaioshin from... They're going to extract him from Fat Buu. First of all, the people who are saying this, and I've talked about this many times, are either poser Dragon Ball fans, they've never seen Dragon Ball Z, or they haven't seen it in years. Because, point blank, number one, Kid Buu is dead. Kid Buu was reincarnated as Oob. Number two, if they were to take Fat Buu and somehow extract Dai Kaioshin from him, it wouldn't make Kid Buu. It's like when I read these memes on Facebook and people talking about it, do you not remember how it works? Let's recap. So check out right now, if you have a chance when you get done with this video, go watch Dragon Ball Z episode 277 or read Dragon Ball manga chapter 508. So I'm giving everybody, open up your textbooks to those particular, sources. The manga does not really go into too much detail about the backstory, but the anime fleshes out the backstory. And as Kid Buu, because pretty much the entirety of episode 277, as Kid Buu is sitting there fighting the Kais, the Kai that he absorbs before the Fat Kai, the Dai Kaio, is the Southern Kai. And when he absorbs the Southern Kai, who's the big buff one, he becomes this giant buff, really muscular version, as you called it, the steroid Super Buu.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? He looks like Triple H in 2002 when he came back after the quad tear. That's literally what he looks like, dude. And so if they were to somehow extract the Dai Kaioshin from Kid Buu, from Fat Buu, it wouldn't even make Kid Buu, because after he absorbed the South Kai is when he absorbed the Fat Kai, the Dai Kaio, and then he became the Fat Majin Buu that we all know and love. That's when he became,
Mr. Buu, right? That Buu. Really good
yeah,
Buu.
and also, that's right, he's also a happy guy, kind of immature. So the characteristics and traits of the Dai Kaioshin, became and created Fat Buu. And I'll be honest with you, Dimzy, again, that's one thing I want to debunk right now. If they were to remove Dai Kaio, he would not become Kid Buu. Y'all on Facebook and Instagram got to step your game up, man. This is getting... I've seen some cringy stuff, but this is pretty bad. But again, if you haven't seen it in a long time, I understand. Dragon Ball Z episode 277 explains it. Now, so again, the buff Buu would be it. However, it was implied for many years that they could not extract Dai Kaio from Majin Buu. Or it was implied. It was never stated, because when Buu absorbed these Kais, this was literally 5 million years before Dragon Ball. And it's presumed by fans, theorized by fans, that when somebody's been absorbed for that long, they cannot be pulled out. So that's why it was the Fat Buu that was pulled out by Goku and Vegeta when they went inside of him. And as a result of that, we have now Kid Buu and Fat Buu existing in the same, place, which actually some people, it is a bit of a, it's not really a plot hole, but it is kind of contrived because it doesn't seem possible. But the evil Buu is the one that absorbed Fat Buu, but it's presumed that the Daikaioshin will always be a part of Fat Buu. So if anything, they're going to try to communicate with the Daikaio to help capture this criminal, whoever he may be. Now, one thing that you said is that you think that bringing back Kid Buu could be like the way they brought back Broly and Frieza and Trunks
100%,
purely for marketing. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so look, I know a lot of people on Facebook, on Instagram are being ignorant and they're just saying whatever, but there is there is some sort of sense in their ignorance, and the way I look at it is this.
Right. I agree.
Who is the most popular version of Majin Buu? In my opinion, I think it's either Super Buu or Kid Buu. Now, Super Buu is 100% out the question. We can, as in this is if they're able to extract the Daikaioshin from Majin Buu, from Mr. Buu. Now, the thing is, we only saw the Southern Supreme Kai absorbed version of Buu for a brief moment, and
very brief. Yeah,
very
only
brief,
for a second. Yeah. He's really big and buff because the South Supreme Kai, the South Kaioshin was big and buff, and he took on the characteristics.
And I think aesthetically, and just reintroducing that version of Buu just won't work out. Now, if we go back to Dragon Ball Z and we remember when Buu-Tenks was the version of Buu-Tenks and was available, and then inside the fusion kind of separate and he became Buikilo, the Piccolo version of Majin Buu. The thing is,
right.
There is this with Majin Buu, they kind of try to stick to the continuity, and I feel like if they do want to please the hardcore fans, they are going to show the buff Buu. But they can say something quite easily and say, okay, this was the Grand Supreme Kai. He was a little bit stronger. He was able to maintain his self, at least a good portion of his self within Majin Buu. That's the reason why he had such a profound effect and change in Majin Buu, whereas the other Supreme Kais, especially the southern one, they were completely assimilated within Majin Buu, so there is no going back. And one way to actually pull him out is, of course, with the introduction of the Super Dragon Balls, anything is possible. So that is one way to actually pull out the Grand Kaioshin. But I think the point I'm trying to make is that Kid Buu is more likely to show up if the Grand Kaioshin is pulled out of Mr. Buu, due to the fact that marketing-wise, it's a smart idea. Why wouldn't you show Kid Buu instead of someone, a buff version of Buu, which we're not too familiar with? Everyone loves Kid Buu. I love Kid Buu. That's the reason why he's my avatar. He's insane. He's chaotic. And it will be quite fun how they're trying to tame him.
Buff Buu was also kind of insane. I think, because you're right. I agree where you're coming from. Dragon Ball Super's doing a lot of nostalgia. We got Broly and all these things to appeal to the fans. It is fan servicey. But to play devil's advocate for a second, because we have not seen much of Buff Buu, it could be that we see Buff Buu come back for whatever reason, and just because we didn't see enough of him in the past. However, I will say this. I'm fully under the impression they're not going to extract anything. I mean, but you're right though. With the Super Dragon Balls, you can do anything. When they introduced these balls and gave them pretty much no limitations, introduced these balls. It pretty much became one of those things where it was like, okay, like where do we go from here? And they can do anything. So that is possibility. But I will say that I just think what they're going to do is find a way to tap into Majin Buu's memory. Like scan his memory, his brain, or communicate with Daikaio. Because I assume that the Fat Buu might have... I think Fat Buu might have Daikaioshin's memory suppressed somewhere in his brain. And they're going to use their technology to tap into that and to extract the data they need to capture this criminal that's going to be, I guess, the main villain of this arc. But like you said, we don't know if this arc's going to be a short arc. You know, some people have called it manga filler because it feels like filler because it's out of control. Yeah. And we don't know if it's going to be a full-length, like, actual major arc with Toriyama and, you know, with it being, like, an anime adaptation later on. As of right now, there has not been a single comment from Toriyama or Toyotaro about this arc. We don't really – it's very mysterious. We don't know much about it. And that could be done on purpose. We may get something on Jump Festa, but as of right now, as of this recording, we're recording it in late November, there's nothing about how long the arc's going to be. So it could just be a little filler thing where they talk to Daikaio, they go fight this guy, and we're done. But you're right. I mean, maybe it could lead to Buu coming back. But I'll be honest, bro. They're relying too much on nostalgia. I actually liked it better when they were introducing people like Hit and Kaba and Jiren. But I do like Kid Buu too, so I'm like in the middle of this. I'm, you know how it is.
The thing is what you said earlier. Depending on how important this arc is, that's what's going to determine whether it's going to happen or not. Whether we're going to see the Dai Kaioshin in physical form or not. Now, we can go off with many, many theories, and I do have a decent amount. But the point is, if it is like the manga equivalent of the Potafu arc, yeah, we're not going to see Kid Buu. We're not going to see, the physical form of the Dai Kaioshin. But if it is important, what they can do is get out the Grand Kaioshin and have Kid Buu, but have like a thing where they need to become one for both of them to survive. And that can give us an exposure of Kid Buu or the sudden absorbed Buu and the Grand Kaioshin, and by the arc's end they have to fuse back together in order to survive. So that's one way for them to maintain that Majin Buu looks the way he does, whilst also giving us an exposure to these other characters which were introduced eons ago, and they're going to expand on them. Now, in terms of what you said about nostalgia, I love nostalgia. Because we're surrounded by so many new things, it's quite interesting to see how these new aspects, these new variables and characters affect the nostalgia that we are familiar with. For example, when Frieza came back, how he was affected when his interactions with Beerus were shown on screen is quite interesting to see. And I'm also extra interested to see if the Grand Kaioshin is reintroduced or shown to us. How does he interact with the Elder Kaioshin? How does he interact with Beerus and Whis? So these are all things which it's just potential galore, isn't it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I feel like if they keep this a short arc and they bring back either Kid Buu or Buff Buu, doesn't matter, it's going to be a waste, because I just feel like if they're going to bring back these characters, I mean, let's not forget that Buu was the final villain of the original manga and Dragon Ball Z. I just feel like if they're going to do it, they got to make it mean something, you know what I mean? Just bringing him back and having him fight Goku again, or whoever, maybe he'll be a good guy, who knows? I just personally, even though I love what you're saying, and I would love to see the Daikaio interact with Beerus and Whis and Jocko for comedic purposes, I don't think it's going to happen, dude. I think it's just going to be they're going to tap in, they're going to speak to him, but I don't think, okay, if he might come back, that part's fine, but I'm saying the idea of them bringing back Kid Buu, first of all, like I outlined, it's not likely because Kid Buu is Oob, and also Kid Buu, it wouldn't even be Kid Buu, it'd be Buff Buu. Like, there's no argument there. That's literally what's stated to us in the series. It would not be Kid Buu. So if they change that for marketing purposes, it's going to piss off some fans because it's a plot hole. But also, you know, it'll please other fans. But again, it's more of that fan service. But it just depends on your perspective. Let us know in the comment section if you would be all right with them bringing back Buff Buu and Kid Buu. But please understand that it's literally like less than a 10% chance going to be Kid Buu unless they change something. Unless they extract Daikaio and Southern Kai. But even then, it's going to be, again, weird. There's going to be a Kid Buu. But one thing I will say, though, Dimsy, is I think that maybe if they do change Buu temporarily, because Buu has to go back to being fat no matter what, because at the end of Z he's fat. This is not going to be a permanent change. This could be something that could inspire Goku to go find Oob and lead to the end of Z events. I mean, that could be something that happens. You know, maybe he fights Kid Buu again. One thing I think would be cool is if he fought Kid Buu again and Kid Buu showed that he was getting stronger and stronger in the fight, like how Broly does, and he's like, you know what, let me go, find let me go find Oob or whatever, and then that could lead to like the end of Z stuff. But then that makes you wonder, why doesn't he go find Broly now? See, there's so many things.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but there's so many things that could happen. I don't know. Anyways, any final thoughts?
No, I think we've outlined our thoughts in decent amount of detail, and I do look forward to how the comments kind of express their thoughts and opinions, and hopefully they mirror our thoughts, or they teach us some new things. Maybe they have their own theories and how to introduce Kid Buu or how not to introduce Kid Buu, or let's see what happens, right?
Right.
Right.
All right, well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.